I'm 86 years old, and I'm going to tell you something that might make you uncomfortable. Most people don't actually want to like you. Wait, don't leave. That's not the depressing part. Here's the thing. People don't wake up thinking, I wonder who I can become friends with today. They're busy. They're overwhelmed. They're protecting their energy. But here's what I've learned after watching humans interact for 8.5 decades. When you understand what people are really looking for, becoming someone they like isn't just easy, it's inevitable. I've been the lonely kid in the corner. I've been the popular guy at the party. I've been the forgotten old man at family gatherings. And now, at 86, I have more genuine friendships than I did at 26. Not because I'm charming, not because I'm successful, but because I finally cracked the code that nobody wants to tell you. Stay with me. By the end of this, you'll understand why some people are magnetic at 7 years old and others are invisible at 70, and exactly what to do about it, no matter how old you are right now. The thing nobody tells you. Let me take you back to 1955. I'm 18, trying desperately to fit in at college. I'm doing everything the advice says, smiling, asking questions, showing interest, being helpful. And I'm still eating lunch alone. One day I'm watching this guy named Pete. Pete's not particularly good-looking, not smart, not athletic, but everyone wants to be around him. 18-year-olds, professors, even the grumpy cafeteria lady. I study him like he's a scientific experiment. And here's what I notice. Pete isn't trying to make people like him. He's making people like themselves. When someone talks to Pete, they walk away feeling funnier, smarter, more interesting than they actually are. That's when it hit me. People don't like you because of who you are. They like you because of who they are when they're around you. This changes everything, because it means being liked isn't about being interesting. It's about being interested in the right way. It's not about being impressive. It's about making others feel impressive. Think about your favorite person right now. Really think about them. You like them, sure. But if you're brutally honest, you like how you feel when you're with them. You're more yourself. You're more relaxed. You're the version of you that you actually like. That's not an accident. That's the whole game. The energy truth. Here's what I learned at 43 that I wish I'd known at 23. Every interaction is an energy exchange, and most people are energy vampires without realizing it. There are 3 types of people: energy takers. After talking to them, you feel drained. They complain without wanting solutions. They need constant validation. They make everything about them, even when they're asking about you. Energy traders. This is most friendships. You give energy, they give energy. It's pleasant. It's fine. It's completely forgettable. Energy givers. These rare people leave you feeling more energized than before. You feel seen, heard, valued. You feel like the best version of yourself. I spent 40 years being an energy taker, wondering why people didn't want to be around me. Then my daughter said something that changed my life. She was 25. We were having coffee and I was, as usual, complaining about my problems. She said, "Dad, I love you, but every conversation with you feels like homework." That wrecked me, but it also woke me up. I started paying attention to how I made people feel, not just what I said to them. And here's what I discovered. Being an energy giver has nothing to do with being positive or upbeat. It has everything to do with being present. When someone talks to you, are you really listening, or are you just waiting to talk? When someone shares good news, are you genuinely happy, or are you comparing it to your own life? When someone's struggling, are you trying to fix them or trying to see them? The shift from energy taker to energy giver isn't about changing your personality. It's about changing your focus from yourself to them. The mirror principle. My granddaughter is 12. Last month she came to me crying because nobody likes her at school. I asked her what she does when she's trying to make friends. She said, "I try to be nice. I ask them questions. I compliment them." "And how's that working?" I asked. She just cried harder. Here's what I told her, the same thing I'm telling you. Stop trying to be liked. Start being a mirror that makes people look good. Let me explain. Most people spend conversations trying to prove their worth. They tell stories that show how smart, funny, or accomplished they are. They're performing, auditioning, hoping for approval. But the people who are universally liked, they're doing something completely different. They're reflecting back the best version of whoever they're talking to. Someone mentions they're learning guitar. You don't talk about your guitar skills. You say, "That takes real discipline. Most people talk about learning an instrument and never actually do it. I respect people who follow through." Boom. You just made them feel disciplined, accomplished, and seen. Someone tells you about their garden. You don't talk about your garden. You say, "You must have a gift for making things grow. I kill cacti." They laugh, feel competent, feel valued for their skill. This works at any age because humans at any age are desperate to feel capable, seen, and valued. I taught my granddaughter this. Within 2 weeks, she had 3 new friends. Not because she became more interesting, because she made them feel more interesting. The validation game. Here's an uncomfortable truth. Everyone you meet is walking around with an invisible wound, hoping someone will see it without them having to show it. The person who seems confident, they're insecure about something. The person who seems successful, they feel like an imposter. The person who seems happy, they're probably lonely. The people who are most liked are the ones who can see these invisible wounds and validate them without making it weird. Let me give you an example from last week. I was at the doctor's office. The nurse taking my blood pressure was probably 30, efficient, professional, but her hands were shaking slightly. Old me would have ignored it or asked, "Are you okay?" which puts pressure on her to explain herself to a stranger. Current me said, "This job must be intense, taking care of people all day while managing a million things at once." Her whole face changed. "You have no idea," she said. "Everyone thinks it's just taking blood pressure and updating charts, but it's a lot." For 2 minutes, while she finished my vitals, she talked about the weight of the job, the understaffing, the emotional toll. I didn't give advice. I didn't share my own stories. I just said, "The good ones feel the weight. You're obviously one of the good ones." She teared up, then laughed. I needed to hear that today. I validated something real in her that she was afraid to validate in herself. That's the game. Not fake compliments, not forced positivity, but genuine recognition of something true that someone needs acknowledged. This works at any age because we all have invisible wounds at every stage of life. Children need validation that they matter. Teenagers need validation that they're not weird. Adults need validation that they're doing okay. Elderly people need validation that they still have value. The person who can see and validate these needs without being asked, that's the person everyone wants to be around. The listening secret. Everyone tells you to be a good listener, but they don't tell you how to listen in a way that makes people feel truly heard. Here's what changed everything for me. Stop listening to the words. Start listening to the feeling beneath the words. When someone says, "I'm thinking about quitting my job," they're not looking for career advice. They're saying one of these things. "I'm scared I'm wasting my life. I need permission to take a risk. I want you to tell me I'm not crazy." When someone says, "I'm fine," they might be saying, "I'm struggling but don't want to burden you. I need you to ask again. I'm testing if you actually care." The people who make you feel most understood aren't the ones who remember what you said. They're the ones who heard what you meant. I learned this at 54 when my wife of 30 years said, "I'm fine," for the 10,000th time. For 3 decades, I took her at her word. Then one day, I really heard her. She wasn't fine. She was saying, "I'm struggling, but I've learned not to expect you to notice." I changed how I responded. When she said, "I'm fine," I started pausing, looking at her and saying, "What's the best part of fine, and what's the hardest part?" Everything changed. This works at any age, because everyone at every stage is saying more than their words. Your kid says school is fine equals something happened, but I don't know if you'll understand. Your friend says, "I'm so busy," equals I feel overwhelmed and out of control. Your elderly parent says, "I don't want to be a burden," equals I'm terrified of being forgotten. The person who hears the meaning beneath the words, that's the person who becomes irreplaceable.